What is up everyone, welcome back to Mainly Movies, the channel where we talk about, well, mainly movies. So welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing Ballerina. After the death of her father, Eva is trained by the Ruska Roma. She then follows a lead that could help her to seek revenge for her father's death. So I'm a big fan of the John Wick franchise. I don't think there really is a bad installment yet to the franchise. So I was kind of a little bit skeptical how they were going to go with a spin-off movie. But luckily for the most part, I think Ballerina is a pretty solid action film. I don't think it really compares much to the other John Wick films. By today's standard of action films, this movie is pretty well directed and overall handled quite well. I do have a few issues with the movie, but we'll get into that in a minute. So we'll talk about the positives first. The action, just like the John Wick films, are quite well directed. They're mostly done in wide shots, just displaying everything, utilizing the surroundings. If a character's going to pick up a glass bottle and smash it, they'll show the glass bottle before they use it. All the kind of filmmaking techniques that they used in the John Wick film, which I'm glad that they used because this film isn't directed by Chad Stahelski like the John Wick films. It's directed by Len Wiseman, so I was kind of skeptical how he was going to go and handle the action. Thankfully, the style he chose to shoot it works very well with the other John Wick films and fits in nicely. This movie just also has some very memorable action sequences, especially towards the end with like a flamethrower. But there's a lot of like knife throwing and a lot of jiu-jitsu and nightclub fight scenes and just all the staples that you need for an action film. But they're all kind of so memorable. There's one particular one that just involves grenades, that's all I'll say. And it does have that John Wick flavor and essence to it. I also think for the most part the casting is quite good. A lot of the actors aren't as utilized as they should have been, which I'll get to in a minute. But for the most part everyone does a solid job. Lance Reddick in his final role is awesome, and his character even has a little bit more as well, which I liked. And Ana de Armas, she does a pretty good job. I don't think she has what Keanu Reeves has as John Wick, but she's almost there. Her one action scene in 007 No Time to Die was pretty good, and that's what kind of got me a little bit hyped for this film, because that was definitely the best sequence in that entire film. So to choose her as the main lead for an action film was quite a good idea. And like I said, for the most part, she does pretty good. I just really wish that this movie didn't have just such a generic revenge story. We all know John Wick is a revenge story, but it feels so unique and each film dives us into this world further. And this movie does, but it also doesn't kind of explain any more than John Wick Chapter 3 did. To me, it's just a very basic revenge plot. Her father dies and she's just kind of stringing along these leads, finding out who was involved in her father's death. Earlier on in the film, she's doing some training and she has to like protect this girl at a nightclub. And I was thinking to myself, that could have been the perfect idea for this film. The rest of the movie was her having to protect this girl because she was in that position when she was a child when they killed her father, and it could have been a really good dynamic. Then that scene ended and it just went into a generic revenge film. As memorable and as well done as the action is, I do feel like in the center of the movie for about 20 or so minutes, some of the action scenes kind of feel repetitive. It feels like the same moves over again. It feels like she's throwing the same knife over and over again. All the choreography kind of felt the same, just in that little segment in the middle. Then it picks back up towards the end and gives us some unique action sequences, but I couldn't help but kind of tune out a little bit in the second act. I do also feel like the pacing of this film doesn't work as well as any of the other John Wicks. Those movies just feel very fluent and just go, go, go the entire time, where this movie kind of dips a lot in terms of its pacing, and it becomes a little bit distracting. And by the end of the second act, I was definitely kind of feeling it a lot. Now, like I was talking about earlier, this movie doesn't fully utilize a lot of its characters. Norman Reedus was in this film, and he's in a lot of the marketing, so I thought he had a big, meaty role in the film, but he's kind of really only in one scene, and then the movie just forgets about him. And I like Norman Reedus. I think he's pretty good and a pretty talented actor. So I wanted to see like some cool action sequences with him, but we only really got one. And I hate to say this, but I really don't think Keanu Reeves needed to be in this movie. His presence kind of raises a lot of questions to me. Because this movie takes place somewhere in the middle of John Wick Chapter 3, when Keanu Reeves shows up in this movie, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, when in that entire movie did he have the time to like go on this side mission? I think it might have been at the end of John Wick Chapter 3 when, you know, he gets shot off the building Sorry, spoilers. And he's kind of gone AWOL for a bit. I think maybe that's when he did it, but I don't know. That whole time, everybody is after him in those movies. The whole world is pretty much after him. I'm just thinking to myself, when did he have a single moment to be able to go on this little side quest? I kind of liked what they were going for with John Wick kind of seeing her revenge story and being reminded of his own, and he's got this bit of understanding. I liked it, but they didn't go into it as much as they should have because he's barely in the movie. But he has a few cool action sequences and flips a couple of dudes over and does some Metal Gear Solid stuff on people. But really, I just think he's there to sell some tickets. But I think what really elevates this movie is the style of its action. Like I said, it kind of gets a little bit repetitive in the middle, but for the most part there are some really cool, memorable action sequences with some crazy stunts and crazy effects and just a lot of passion put into all the fight scenes, which I really love, and that's the main thing I appreciate about this franchise. And thankfully they didn't neglect that in this new film. But overall, I did enjoy Ballerina, and I'm going to give it a 3-star. It was a pretty solid action film. I do recommend going to see it, especially if you're a big fan of the franchise. It's still one of the better action franchises out there. Like I said, just a lot of passion put into it, and all the fight scenes are just great. And you can really sink your teeth into the moment and just feel all the punches, because that's another thing I really like about the franchise. They're never afraid to have the main character get their ass beaten sometimes. And Ana de Armas takes a lot of hits in this film, just as many as John Wick does. So anyway, that was my review on Ballerina. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. So stay tuned, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.